Welcome to another gripping episode of True Crime Stories, where we delve deep into the most intricate and chilling criminal cases that have captivated the nation. Today, we unravel a tale of manipulation, deceit, and obsession, set against the backdrop of the serene yet unsuspecting town of Knoxville, Tennessee. In the heart of Knoxville, where Southern charm meets modern ambition. Valerie Camden stood as a pillar of the community. At 41 years old, Valerie had carved out a reputation not just as the successful owner of a thriving swimming pool supply store, but as a beacon of warmth and reliability. Her store was more than just a business, it was a cornerstone of the local community, a place where neighbors gathered not just to meet their pool needs, but to catch up with a woman whose bright smile and whose spiteful nature made everyone feel at home. Valerie's expertise in the business world was no accident. A proud graduate of the University of Tennessee, she had earned her degree in business administration with honors, leveraging her academic acumen to build and expand her enterprise. But behind Valerie's professional success lay a personal life marked by resilience and strength. In her 20s, she endured the heartbreak of a painful divorce, emerging from the ordeal as a single mother to 3 boys, triplets no less, Ethan, Nathan, Ada, Alan. Life threw Valerie another curveball when she discovered that all 3 of her sons were deaf. Yet, instead of succumbing to the challenges, Valerie rose to the occasion. She devoted herself to their upbringing, learning sign language, and becoming an advocate not just for her children, but for the wider deaf community. Her dedication to her sons, combined with her business savvy, made her story one of admiration and inspiration, a narrative of triumph over adversity. Little did anyone know, however, that beneath the surface of this idyllic life, dark forces were at play, forces that would soon unravel Valerie's world in ways no one could have imagined. Despite facing financial pressure, Valerie always worked tirelessly to raise her children, not letting difficulties get in the way. She is a loving mother, always supports her children, and actively participates in community activities. Before her death in November 2018, Valerie was excited for the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday, with plans to host a big family dinner. She also plans to expand her business and open a second store to bring financial stability to her family. Valerie is not only an amazing mother, but also an advocate for other single mothers, often sharing her story to inspire others. However, Valerie's remarkable life would be erased by a brutal murder. On the morning of November 22, 2018, in the cold and gloomy atmosphere of Thanksgiving Day, Ethan Camden, one of the triplets, made a terrible discovery. When he woke up, Ethan went to check on his mother and found her body in the bathroom, strangled with a rope. In a state of shock, Ethan ran to find brothers Nathan and Alan. The 3 stood there confused and scared, not knowing what to do. Nathan, with better communication skills, called 911 while crying. When police and rescue workers arrived at the scene, they witnessed a heartbreaking scene. 3 children, too young to understand what was happening, were huddled together, their faces pale and full of fear. Officer Jane Miller, who first entered the bathroom, had worked for the Knoxville Police Department for more than 15 years and had never seen such a horrifying scene. She took a deep breath to regain sane. They found that although there were signs of a struggle, the bathroom was clean, with no fingerprints or obvious signs of rape. While the police worked, the 3 children were taken outside and covered with blankets to keep warm. The neighbors began to gather, discussing in confusion. Reporters from local news channels came to report the news. Police knew they needed to act quickly to find out who was responsible for this crime. When the Knoxville Police Department arrived at Camden's home around 9 a.m., overcast skies signaled the coming of a cold winter. Detective Catherine Bernard and Officer Daniel Ford lead the investigation. They began talking to the 3 children, still in a state of shock, asking them to describe what happened. The journey to find justice for Valerie Camden has just begun. The main focus of the current investigation is the bathroom crime scene where Valerie Camden's body was found. The scene was very clean, with Valerie lying naked and strangled with a rope. Although there were signs of a struggle, There were no signs of intrusion or disorder in the rest of the house. Detective Bernard commented that the killer could be someone Valerie knew and trusted. Detective Bernard and Officer Ford examined the bathroom carefully. The rope used to strangle Valerie was a simple rope that can be found at hardware stores like Home Depot. They collected fingerprints from multiple surfaces, including shower heads and doorknobs, and used luminol to detect any traces of blood that might have been cleaned up. Outside the house, neighbors gathered, discussing the tragedy while reporters from WBTV and the Knoxville News Sentinel were there to cover the story. The presence of the media added pressure on the police to find answers quickly. Detective Bernard called in a forensics team to assist in the investigation, who took photos of the scene, collected samples, and searched for any missed clues. Police interviewed neighbors, and one reported seeing an unfamiliar car parked near Camden's home the night before, while another heard an argument from Camden's home earlier in the week, but assumed it was just a normal family disagreement. As the investigation continued, Detective Bernard and her team worked around the clock to review Valerie's emails, phone messages, and social media accounts to better understand her relationships and motivations, possible motive for the murder. The crime scene was clean, with no signs of forced entry, and the methodical nature of the killing suggested it was a calculated act. Detective Bernard knows they need to dig deeper into Valerie's life and those closest to her. Valerie's second husband, Brett J. Camden, 61, was one of the first people police investigated. A prominent Knoxville hedge fund manager, Brett appeared to be a loving and supportive husband, but police decided to investigate more thoroughly. When Brett heard the news of Valerie's death, he was shocked and worried and immediately drove to the police station. There, Detective Bernard met him in a quiet room. Brett explained that he had left for work early and did not know what had happened. He insisted their marriage was happy, but admitted there were arguments about money, because Valerie was much in debt. Even though he is not the biological father, Brett claims to care very much about his 3 children. Colleagues describe Brett as hardworking but controlling, and some say he has a tendency to aggression. Upon further questioning, Brett became nervous and denied any accusations of control or aggression, insisting that he loved Valerie and would never hurt her. Security video confirmed Brett arrived at work at 7 a.m., but for 30 minutes his whereabouts were unknown. Police continue to monitor Brett and need more evidence to determine whether he is involved in Valerie's death. The investigation is ongoing, and Ethan Camden, one of Valerie's 3 children, will also be questioned. Ethan Camden, one of Valerie's triplets, is the second person investigated by police. Having recently graduated from a school for the deaf, Ethan dreams of becoming a graphic designer, but has difficulty finding work and turns to drugs to cope with stress at home. He is famous for being shy and reserved, and often turns to art for relief. When the police brought Ethan in for questioning, he looked scared and confused. Detective Bernard communicated with him through a sign language interpreter. Ethan describes his mother as loving and supportive, but his relationship with Brett is more complicated. He admitted Brett was controlling and sometimes abusive, but he was too scared to say more. Ethan had a weak alibi the night Valerie was murdered, saying he was sleeping in the room but had no witnesses to confirm it. When Detective Bernard asked about his drug use, Ethan admitted to using marijuana to relieve anxiety. Tears streamed down his face as he signed the answer sheet. Police searched Ethan's room and found drug paraphernalia, but there was no direct connection to Valerie's murder. They also checked his social media accounts and phone records, but found no indication that he might be involved in the case. Ethan's friends from school describe him as talented and quiet, often keeping to himself. Several friends mentioned that Ethan talked about his stepfather's harsh behavior, but did not allude to any violent intentions. The investigation found that Ethan was under great pressure from family financial troubles and the abuse he witnessed from Brett towards his mother. Detective Bernard considers Ethan a potential suspect due to his bicentennial, but needs more concrete evidence. Upon further investigation of Ethan's background, police found no solid evidence linking him to the case. Bernard's intuition shows that Ethan is like a victim trapped in a toxic house. The focus of the investigation began to shift away from Ethan when new leads emerged in late November 2018, leading police to a third suspect, Nathan Camden, one of Valerie's triplets. Nathan, 99, is a star athlete on the school basketball team, loved by many, but he also struggles with the pressure of his stepfather's expectations and community approval. Nathan dreams of playing basketball professionally and has posters of NBA stars like LeBron James in his bedroom. When Detective Catherine Bernard and her team decide to take Nathan in for questioning, they meet him at the police station. Nathan appeared nervous but cooperative. He explains that his relationship with Brett has always been tensy. Brett's controlling personality and high expectations put a lot of pressure on Nathan. He told of instances where Brett used threats and manipulation to control him. Police looked at Nathan's alibi the night Valerie was murdered, and Nathan claimed he had been at a friend's house watching a basketball game. His friend confirmed this alibi, and surveillance video from a convenience store showed Nathan Sukrashins. Although Nathan cooperated, police still needed more evidence to eliminate him as a suspect. On Saturday morning, November 24, 2018, one neighbor discovered a USB drive hidden in the attic. Detective Bernard and Officer Daniel Ford quickly recovered and brought it to the police station. Forensic experts examined the drive and found many video files. When they watched the video, they were horrified to see Valerie and her 3 children, Ethan, Nathan, and Alan, undress and perform suggestive dances. The video shows the triplets being drawn into a sexual relationship with Brett, their stepfather, revealing a dark secret about Brett Camden. Police immediately brought Ethan, Nathan, and Alan back for questioning, with the help of a sign language interpreter. The 3 brothers shared that Brett had enticed them into sexual relationships over the past year, engaging in various sexual games with the promise of spending more time with the winner. They didn't know what was wrong when they searched Brett's home office. Police discovered further USB drives containing sexual recordings and a diary detailing Brett's disturbing behavior, describing his secret relationships with his 3 children, including descriptions with pictures of your interests. Detective Bernard realizes this evidence is important, not only in relation to Valerie's murder but also in revealing the extensive extent of the abuse. With new evidence, police have a clearer picture of Brett's motive for killing Valerie to hide his dark secret. Police realized that Valerie may have planned to leave Brett and take the children with her. When he discovered this, Brett was afraid of losing control and facing the risk of being exposed, so he decided to silence Valerie forever. In November 2018, Knoxville police made a breakthrough in Valerie Camden's murder case after weeks of investigation. Evidence clearly pointed to Brett Camden, Valerie's husband, 61 years old, working as an investment fund manager. On the surface, he appeared to be a supportive and loving husband, but evidence painted a completely different picture. Brett is controlling and manipulative, using threats and even physical violence to keep Valerie under his control. Police discovered a twisted and abusive sexual relationship between Brett and the triplets, whom he referred to as his harem boys. He exploited their vulnerability and deafness to maintain dominance. Detective Catherine Bernard and her team pieced together Brett's motive for killing Valerie. Valerie was tired of his abuse and planned to get rid of him, but Brett, afraid of losing control and having his secret exposed, decided to end Valerie's life. On the morning of November 30, 2018, with clear skies and a cold wind, police moved in to arrest Brett Camden at his upscale home in an affluent neighborhood of Knoxville. Brett is surprised when officers led by Detective Bernard knock on the door. He tried to stay calm, but he was clearly shocked when he was handcuffed and read his rights. Brett showed little emotion, but a sheer distant demeanor as he was escorted to the police car. The neighbors looked on with skepticism, a complete contrast to the facade Brett had maintained for so long. Valerie's family, especially her triplets, felt relieved but also shattered, as they had lived in fear and manipulation for many years. News of Brett's arrest brought mixed emotions, both easing sadness and generating anger. They hope for justice and a chance to heal the wounds they have endured. Detective Bernard is determined to ensure Brett faces the full consequences of his actions. She knew the case against him was strong with evidence gathered from hidden USB drives and the triplets' testimony. Brett's arrest marks an important turning point in the investigation. Not only does Valerie's murder solve, but she also uncovers the horrifying abuse her family endured. Brett Camden's trial began in early December 2018. just as the Knoxville community was preparing for the holiday season. The trial was packed with reporters and spectators, all eager to hear the details of the case that had shocked the city. Prosecutor Mark Schwartzel, known for being tough on crime, offered a compelling account in the case against Brett. He details Brett's abuse, manipulation of the triplets, and Valerie's murder. Videos found on USB drives, Brett's diary, and statements from Ethan, Nathan, and Alan painted a clear picture of Brett's guilt. Defense attorney Lisandra Martinez, known for her tenacity, argued that Brett was a loving husband and stepfather who had been wrongly accused, trying to dispel the triplets' testimony that they were influenced by the desire to see Brett punished. However, the overwhelming evidence made it difficult for her to build a strong defense. Throughout the trial, Valerie's family sat in attendance, hoping that justice would be served for the suffering they had gone through. The front row in the trial was very emotional. The triplets, now free from Brett's control, bravely testified about the abuse they had endured. Their courage moved everyone in the courtroom. The jury deliberated for only a few hours before returning with a verdict on December 15, 2018. Brett Camden was convicted of first-degree murder and multiple counts of abuse. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Brett showed little reaction as the verdict was read, maintaining his cold and distant demeanor. The verdict brought a sense of relief to Valerie's family, but the pain of losing her remains raw. Sister Susan expressed mixed emotions outside court. "We are grateful for justice, but nothing can bring Valerie back. Our focus now is to help the boys heal and move forward." The conclusion of the trial marks the end of a dark chapter for Valerie's family and the beginning of a journey of healing for the community that has rallied around them to offer support and solidarity in the aftermath of the trial. As the gavel fell for the final time in December 2018, signaling the end of a harrowing trial, the dust of the Valerie Camden case slowly began to cease slowly. Yet the echoes of the courtroom still reverberated through the streets of Knoxdale, a community left in a state of shock and disbelief by the chilling details that had come to light. The townspeople, grappling with the unsettling reality that such darkness had touched one of their own, found solace in unity. In the aftermath, the focus shifted from the horror of the past to the hope for the future, as Knoxdale rallied around Valerie's three sons, Ethan, Nathan, and Alan, who had borne the brunt of the tragedy with remarkable courage. The community, bound by shared grief and a collective determination to heal, extended its arms to the boys. Neighbors, friends, and even strangers offered support, ensuring that the triplets, whose lives had been irrevocably altered, would not face the journey ahead alone. There were fundraisers, community events, and quiet moments of compassion, all aimed at helping Ethan, Nathan, and Alan rebuild their lives in the shadow of their mother's ordeal. In every gesture, large or small, the people of Knoxdale sought to honor Valerie's memory by nurturing the future she had fought so hard to secure for her children. Nathan, the star athlete, returned to basketball with encouragement from his teammates and coach. He used the sport as an emotional outlet and continued to excel on the field, receiving several college scholarship offers. With the support of friends and family, Nathan joined a local support group for victims of abuse, where he felt comfortable sharing his experiences with others who had gone through similar situations on one's own. Detective Catherine Bernard, who led the investigation, was commended for her dedication and thorough work on the case. The Knoxville Police Department recognized her with a special award, and she continues to serve the community with commitment and integrity. Brett Camden is currently serving the same sentence without parole. Little has been said about his sentencing. Reports from prison, which indicate that he remains isolated and unrepentant. Older sister Susan became the legal guardian of the triplets, working tirelessly to provide a stable and loving home for them. Community support helped her overcome the challenge of raising three traumatized teenagers. The case left a lasting impact on Knoxville, reminding everyone of the importance of vigilance and support for children in abusive situations. As the trio begins to rebuild their lives, they carry with them memories of their mother and hope for a better future. The murder of Valerie Camden is a reminder of the darkness that lurks behind closed doors. Her strength and resilience continue to inspire those who know her. Justice ensures that her tragic story will not be forgotten.
Please share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Don't miss out on the pulse-pounding updates from true crime stories. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell. Stay tuned for the latest in dramatic and thrilling crime narratives that will keep you at the edge of your seat.